All right, so in this lesson, we are going to divide decimals by whole numbers. So your goal is I can determine the quotient of a decimal and a whole number. And just to review the quotient means the answer to a division problem. So make sure you keep that in mind. All right, so how do we divide decimals and whole numbers? So it's important to know that we're going to take this in baby steps. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to divide decimals and whole numbers. And that's going to lead us into a separate lesson where we're dividing decimals by decimals. Okay, so very important to know. And it's important to know as well that if this lesson confuses you, you need to go back to the lesson where you're just dividing whole numbers, because that's the preview lesson to this one, okay? So step one is you have your problem set up just like this. And before I even get into step one, by the way that this problem would be written out or presented to you is 0.24 divided by 2. And so this first number is always the number that goes inside of the brackets, okay? So step one, what you're going to do is you're going to take that decimal point and you're going to move it to the roof of the bracket is what we like to call it, okay? So you're going to move it directly up. That is always going to be your first step. You cannot forget to do that. It is essential because it is what determines where the decimal point goes within your answer. Once you do that, the rest of the problem operates the exact same way as dividing a whole number by a whole number. So watch carefully. How many times does 2 go into 0? 0. 0 times 2, 0. Now we subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 2. How many times does 2 go into 2? 1. 1 times 2, 2. 2 minus 2, 0. Bring down the 4. How many times does 2 go into 4? 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, and there's nothing left to bring down. So the answer to this problem is 0.12. But you see that the bringing that decimal point up to the roof, that placement is very critical. All right, so let's go ahead and do some examples here. All right, so step one, bring the decimal point to the roof of the problem. How many times does 5 go into 0? 0. 0 times 5 is 0. We're going to subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 7. How many times does 5 go into 7? Once. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the 5. How many times does 5 go into 25? 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 25 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. Your final answer is 0.15 or 0 and 15 hundredths. Good job. All right, now first step, bring the decimal point right up to the roof. Now let's go ahead and divide. How many times does 8 go into 0? 0. 0 times 8, 0. Let's go ahead and subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 9. How many times does 8 go into 9? 1. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down the 6. 8 goes into 16 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. Your answer here is 0.12 or 0 and 12 hundredths. All right, let's keep practicing. Bring the decimal point straight up to the roof. 3 goes into 2, 0 times. 0 times 3 is 0. Let's subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down the 5. 3 goes into 25 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. Bring down the 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. Your answer is 0.84 or 0 84 hundredths. All right, next problem. We're going to immediately bring the decimal point up to the roof. 6 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. Now we're going to subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down the 3. 6 goes into 13 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. Bring down the 8. 6 goes into 18 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. Subtract. 18 minus 18 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. The answer here is 0.23 or 0 23 hundredths. All right, let's keep practicing. Bring the decimal point immediately up to the roof, and then we can start to divide. 5 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 5 is 0. Let's subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down the 7. 5 goes into 17 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. 17 minus 15 is 2. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract. 25 minus 25 is 0. Your answer is 0.35 or 0 35 hundredths. All right, next problem. Immediately bring that decimal point up to the roof. 4 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 7. 4 goes into 7 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down the 2. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. Subtract. 32 minus 32 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. The answer here is 0.18 or 0 18 hundredths. Okay, more examples. Bring the decimal point straight up to the roof. 6 goes into 2 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. Subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down the 7. 6 goes into 27 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract. 27 minus 24 is 3. Bring down the 3. 6 goes into 33 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. Subtract. 33 minus 3 is 3. There's nothing left to bring down, but I have a remainder. Here's what you do. You add, I've changed colors here. You're going to add a 0 onto the end, and you're going to bring it down anyway. So when you end up with a remainder and you have no other numbers to bring down, you're going to add a 0 to the end and you're going to bring it down. Okay, that is the protocol. Now, if I end up with a remainder again, I'm going to add another 0, bring it down again, and I do it as many times as I need to in order to finish the problem. Okay, so 6 goes into 30 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. Subtract. 30 minus 30 is 0. And I have nothing left to bring down. So my answer here is 0.455. All right, we're going to bring the decimal point straight up to the roof. 4 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down the 6. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0, but don't stop there because you still need to bring the 5 down. 4 goes into 5 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. Nothing else to bring down, so what do? I add a 0 onto the end, and I bring it all the way down. 4 goes into 10. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. 10 minus 8 is 2. I have nothing left to bring down, so I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract. 20 minus 20 is 0. So my final answer to that problem is 2.4125. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add in variables once again. So what I'm going to ask you to do is evaluate 0.435 divided by A. So you may be asking, where is A? Well, I'm giving you two different things that A stands for, okay? And I want you to solve it in both situations. So over here, we're going to do 0.435 divided by, and instead of A, we're going to write 3. And then over here, 0.435 divided by, and instead of A, we're going to write 15. And we're going to go ahead and solve these two problems. Now, this is a good example of having to put it in the proper order. So remember that the first number always goes inside of the division bracket. Okay, first step, bring that decimal point up to the roof. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 0 times 3 is 0. Subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 4. 3 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down the 3. 3 goes into 13 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. Bring down the 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract. 15 minus 15 is 0. Nothing left to bring down. The answer to this problem is 0.145. Okay, we're going to go over here now. So again, the first number always goes inside of the division bracket. All right, we're going to bring the decimal point straight up to the roof. And this time we have a 2-digit number outside. So 15 goes into 0, 0 times. 0 times 15 is 0. Subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. Bring down the 4. 15 goes into 4, 0 times. 0 minus 15 is 0. Subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. Bring down the 3. 15 goes into 43 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30. 43 minus 30 is 13. Bring down the 5. And then let's see, 15 goes into 135. Let's try this a couple different ways. Let's try, nope, not times 8. Let's try times 7. Nope, let's try times 9. 45, yep, 135. So it goes in 9 times. 9 times 15 is 135. Subtract, and you have 0. And so your answer to this problem is 0.029. Okay? All right, now just to throw in a couple of word problems here. Ms. Seckerson purchased 8 t-shirts for the volleyball team. The total cost of the t-shirts was $70.56. How much should each t-shirt cost? Now I know we haven't gone over our annotating rules here, but I'm going to use them anyway. So I'm going to highlight my question, how much should each t-shirt cost? And I'm going to look for what signals division. So it's telling me each t-shirt. So that's usually going to tell me that I need to break it down into a group of some sort. So we're going to do 70.56 divided by 8. And my first step is going to be to bring that decimal point straight up to the roof. So 8 goes into 7, 0 times 8 is 0. Subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 70 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. Subtract. 70 minus 64 is 6. Bring down the 5. So 8 goes into 65 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. Subtract. 65 minus 64 is 1. Bring down the 6. And then 8 goes into 16 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. So each shirt was $8.82. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Dance lessons cost $198.75 for 15 classes. What is the cost of one class? So again, I'm going to highlight my question. What is the cost of one class? And what word is showing me division? Well, I want to know the cost of one class. Okay, so I'm going to be dividing it up into parts. All right, so I have $198.75 divided by 15. So immediately I need to bring my decimal point to the roof. So 15 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 15 is 0. Subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down the 9. 15 goes into 19 once. 1 times 15 is 15. Subtract. 19 minus 15 is 4. Bring down the 8. 15 goes into 48 3 times. 3 times 15 is 45. Subtract. 48 minus 45 is 3. Bring down the 7. 15 goes into 37 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30. Subtract. 37 minus 30 is 7. Bring down the 5. And 15 goes into 75. Let's see, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So 5 times 15 is 75, and when you subtract, you get 0. So each dance class costs $13.25. All right, that is the end of this lesson. By now you should be quite a pro. That was a lot of different practice problems, but we will practice a lot more in class.